Geopolitics.
Geopolitics.
Geordie.
Geordie.
Georgia.
Georgia.
Georgian townhouse.
Geostationary orbit.
Geostationary orbit.
Geotagging.
Geotagging.
Geothermal.
Geothermal.
A geothermal energy plant.
Geranium.
Geranium.
Gerbil.
Gerbil.
Geriatric.
Geriatric.
A specialist in geriatric medicine.
A geriatric rock star.
Geriatrics.
Geriatrics.
Germ.
Germ.
Put disinfectant down the toilet to kill any germs. The germ of a story began to form in his mind.
Germ cells containing DNA.
German.
German.
Germain.
Germain.
An article which is germane to the subject being discussed.
Germanic.
Germanic.
German measles.
German measles.
German shepherd.
German shepherd.
Germinate.
Germinate.
The idea of setting up his own company began to germinate in his mind.
Germ warfare.
Germ warfare.
Gerontology.
Gerontology.
Gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering.
Gerund.
Gerund.
Gestalt.
Gestalt.
Gestalt psychology.
Gestapo.
Gestapo. Gestation.
Gestation.
The gestation period of a horse is about 11 months. The report was a very long time in gestation. Gesticulate.
Gesticulate.
Gesture.
Gesture.
Jim raised his hands in a despairing gesture.
Luke made an obscene gesture with his finger.
She shook her head with a gesture of impatience.
They decided it would be a nice gesture to send her a card.
Tearing up the price list was simply a symbolic gesture.
As a gesture of goodwill, we have decided to waive the charges on this occasion.
The Queen has now made a gesture towards public opinion.
Gesture.
Brad gestured towards the door. Get out.
He gestured for her to take a seat.
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit.
Get. Get.
She got loads of presents. What did you get for Christmas?
We get a lot of junk mail.
We got a letter from Pam this morning. I got it off my dad. I got a few games free when I bought my computer. We need to get help quickly.
It would be a good idea to get professional advice.
You may be able to get a grant from the local authority. He cleared his throat to get our attention. I want you to get some information for me. His father managed to get him a job at the local factory. Run upstairs and get a pillow. I went back into the office to get a pen. Shall I go and get the phone book? She's just gone to get the kids from school. I'll get a towel for you. I'll get you a chair.
Where did you get that jacket?
Joe's going to get tickets for all of us. While you're out, could you get me some batteries?
He's just got himself a new van.
I usually get vegetables from the supermarket.
You can get a decent PC for about £500 now.
It's a lovely coat, and I managed to get it cheap in the sales. I'll get these drinks. My parents always used to get the Daily Telegraph. Hospital doctors get a minimum of £50,000 a year.
He gets £4 an hour for stacking shelves.
You should get a couple of £100 for your old car.
Did you get a good price for it?
She began to get an uncomfortable feeling that she was being watched. I got a terrible shock when I saw how ill he looked. I got the impression that everyone was fed up with us. She gets a lot of pleasure from her garden. You don't get enough exercise. I never get time to read these days. The west of the country gets quite a lot of rain. We might get the chance to go to America this year. I got flu last winter and was in bed for 3 weeks. She was worried she might get food poisoning. I got 98% in my last maths test. The person who gets the highest score. I got 98% in my last maths test. The person who gets the highest score. He got 10 years in prison for his part in the robbery. What time will we get there? We didn't get home until midnight. We got to Paris that evening. I've got as far as chapter 5. I couldn't wait to get to the end of the book. Where have you got up to in the story? It was disappointing to lose, having got this far in the competition. I think we're getting somewhere at last. We didn't seem to be getting anywhere. I've tried arguing, but it got me nowhere. Get out of my house. We managed to get past the guards. They shouted at us to get back. Peter got to his feet. I couldn't get the disk out of the computer. Could you help me get the wardrobe up the stairs? We must get food and emergency aid into the area as quickly as possible. You can get a bus to the station. I got the 9:15 from London to Edinburgh.
Don't get upset. She soon got bored with the job. He calmed down as he got older.
Eat your dinner before it gets cold. This is getting silly.
It's getting to be a problem. Sometimes she gets me so angry. Don't get the children too excited. He was terrified of getting her pregnant.
It took them 15 minutes to get the boat ready.
You might get hurt if you stand there. Mind the camera doesn't get broken. My dad got killed in a car crash. I knew I would get shouted at if I was late home. This is a question we very often get asked. She got her foot caught in the wire. You're going to get us all killed. Mind you don't get yourself burned. I need to get the washing machine fixed. We must get this work finished on time. I couldn't get the engine to start. We got the lawnmower working again eventually. I'll get Terry to check the wiring for me. We couldn't get him to sign the agreement. In the end, we got the children clearing the playground. I don't think she got the joke. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I still don't get how she knew about the meeting.
She's just getting lunch.
Shall I get you a sandwich?
Can you get satellite TV here?
Can you get the phone?
The police got him in the end. The other gang members threatened to get him if he went to the police. The other gang members threatened to get him if he went to the police. I'll get you for this. I got you that time. I tried phoning him at work, but I just got his secretary. We got talking about the old days. I think we should get going quite soon.
What are we all waiting for? Let's get moving.
We got to meet all the stars after the show. She gets to travel all over the place with her job. It'll take a while for you to get to know everyone. After a while, I got to like him.
I didn't know you got tigers in Europe. It really gets me the way he leaves wet towels on the bathroom floor.
What gets me is their attitude. And the whole thing only cost, get this, $12.95.
She's 80 now and doesn't get about much anymore.
He's got an old van which he uses for getting about.
I don't really want this to get about.
It took him ages to get his point across. We must get across the simple fact that drugs are dangerous. The message isn't getting across. It is important that we get this message across to voters. She soon found that it wasn't easy to get ahead in the movie business.
We've always got along quite well. They seem to get along with each other. How's Sam getting along at university?
Don't worry, we'll get along without you. We had to use public transport to get around. It's quite easy to get around London. News of the accident soon got around. Word got around that the department might be closed.
I think we should be able to get around most of these problems.
She was always very clever at getting around the rules. I meant to phone her yesterday, but I never got around to it. We finally got around to clearing out the garage.
Why is he always getting at me?
He felt he was being got at by the other students.
What are you getting at, Helen?
Do you see the point I'm getting at?
We had to move the washing machine out to get at the wiring behind it. I was determined to get at the truth. Do you think some of the jury have been got at? The meeting dragged on and I didn't get away until 7.
I like to get away from London at the weekend.
Will you manage to get away this summer?
We're hoping to get away to Scotland for a few days.
The 3 men got away in a stolen car. We knew it wouldn't be easy to get away from the police.
The thieves got away with jewellery worth over £50,000.
I needed to get away from the pressures of work.
She wanted to get away from the traditional ideas of what theatre is about. There is no getting away from this fact. I think we're getting away from the main issue. You need to get away from it all for a couple of weeks. Watch Frank, he'll cheat if he thinks he can get away with it. No one insults my family and gets away with it. No one insults my family and gets away with it. Some of those children get away with murder. The charge was reduced to manslaughter, and she got away with 3 years in prison. At school, he had always got away with doing the bare minimum amount of work. The colour's not quite right, but I think you'll get away with it. I'll talk to you when I get back. He got back to the office just before lunchtime. Let's get back to the main point of the discussion. Well, I must get back to work. Have you ever thought about getting back into teaching? Life was beginning to get back to normal. I couldn't get back to sleep. Do you think they'll get back together? Did you get your books back? I'll get you back for this. He'll probably go out with her just to get back at me. I'll find out the prices and get back to you. I don't want to get behind with my work. You can always catch up later if you get behind. The crowd really got behind them and cheered them on. I don't earn a huge salary, but we get by. Sometimes they had to get by on very little. His lack of social life was beginning to get him down. He was followed by a group of reporters trying to get down every word he said. It's important to get things down on paper. I knew I'd feel better once I'd got some food down. Get that tea down, you. He still says he's not hungry, and I can't get anything down him. Please may I get down? It's time we got down to work. We need to get down to some serious talking. I always find it hard to get down to revising. We managed to get in through a window. The theatre was already full, and we couldn't get in. What time does the bus get in? We get into Heathrow at 10 o'clock. We didn't get in until late. What time do the boys get in from school? The Conservatives have promised to increase spending on health and education if they get in. I applied to Bristol University, but I didn't get in. I must remember to get some food in for the weekend. The whole village was involved with getting the harvest in. We'll have to get a plumber in. Please can you get your essays in by Thursday? It's best to get your insurance claim in as quickly as possible. We're hoping to get in a game of golf over the weekend. Quite a few companies would like to get in on the project. The scheme has proved very successful, and now other local authorities are keen to get in on the act. He got in with a bad crowd and started getting into trouble. The door was locked and we couldn't get into the house. What time did we get into New York? He first got into Parliament in 1982.
She got into UCLA.
Do you think you might get into the Olympic team this year? He started getting into trouble at school. My parents were always terrified of getting into debt. She got into the habit of going for long walks by herself. He got into a terrible temper and started throwing things around. How did you first get into script writing? She was starting to get into politics. I first got into jazz when I was at college. I don't know how she managed to get into those trousers. I don't know what's got into Sally recently. We'll try and get off straight after lunch. Get off my land. I'll phone you as soon as I've got the children off to school. I usually get off at 6 o'clock.
What time do you get off work?
I'll have to get this letter off by tonight.
I'll get the forms off to you today. Why don't you get those wet clothes off?
In the end, he got off because there wasn't enough evidence against him.
The police felt he had got off very lightly. If you're lucky, you'll get off with a fine.
Her lawyers were confident that they could get her off.
I went to bed but couldn't get off to sleep. It took us ages to get the baby off. The day had got off to a bad start. Can we get off the subject of death, please? Get off me! Get off those cakes or there'll be trouble. Get off!
He wanted £50, but I told him where to get off.
She spent the whole evening trying to get off with Phil. I've always got on well with Henry. The two boys get on well most of the time. How is George getting on at school? How are you getting on with your essay? I don't know how we'll get on without Michael. Be quiet and get on with your work. You'll have to work hard if you want to get on. You'll have to work hard if you want to get on. I can't get my boots on. Come on, it's getting on and we ought to go home. I realised that time was getting on and we would have to hurry. Mrs. McIntyre must be getting on for 90 by now. The total cost was getting on for $100,000. Will you lot stop messing around and get on with it? She wanted to decorate her room, so I just let her get on with it. I'll get on to my lawyer about this. How did the police get on to him? She was quite keen to get on to the management committee. After a few minutes, they got on to the subject of the election. Right, I'll get on to it straight away. You ought to get out into the fresh air. Mary screamed at me to get out. Get out of the kitchen! Some of the animals had got out. He was determined to get out of prison. It's important to get these people out as soon as possible. We knew it was going to be difficult to get him out of the country. She got out her violin and started to play. We have to make absolutely certain that none of this gets out. It's bound to get out that he's retiring soon. It's bound to get out that he's retiring soon. We're hoping to get the new catalogue out next week.
I wanted to tell him I loved him, but couldn't get the words out.
See if you can get out of that meeting tomorrow. He's trying to get out of tidying his room. I wanted to get out of teaching. I was determined to get the truth out of her. I hope he got something out of his visit. Children can get a lot out of being involved in community projects. It's taken me ages to get over the flu. She never got over the death of her son. It's important that we get this message over to young people. I'll be in touch once I've got my exams over. I can't wait to get the interview over with. I don't know how we're going to get over this problem. Once we've got over the first few months, we should be making a reasonable profit. I can't get over how well you look.
Get over yourself. Nobody cares if you've made a mistake.
News like this soon gets round. Most companies manage to get round the restrictions. I know how to get round Chris. I keep meaning to put a lock on it, but I never get round to it. I haven't got round to unpacking from my holiday yet. We got through half the application forms this morning. We've got a lot of work to get through. You wouldn't believe the amount of food children can get through in a week.
He can get through £100 in one evening.
I don't know how we're going to get through the winter. It was their love that got me through those first difficult months. I finally managed to get through my driving test.
I knew it was going to be difficult to get the car through its MOT test.
Liverpool have got through to the final of the FA Cup.
Aid agencies have been unable to get through to the thousands of refugees stranded on the border.
I tried phoning her office, but I couldn't get through.
At last I managed to get through to one of the managers.
Anti-hunting legislation will never get through the House of Lords.
Once again, we failed to get the bill through Parliament.
I couldn't seem to get through to her. How can I get it through to him that this is really important?
I'm under a lot of pressure at work, and sometimes it gets to me a bit.
Don't let things get to you. He got to thinking how disappointed his parents would be.
We must get together for a drink.
I need to get some paperwork together for the meeting. He got together a group of local businessmen to discuss the problem. We're trying to get together enough money to buy a flat. He's just trying to get his life together at the moment. I'm staying with my parents for a while until I've got myself together a bit.
The government can't seem to get it together on the environment.
We didn't get up until lunchtime. Get me up at 7, would you?
He got up and walked over to the window. He arrived at the party, got up as Count Dracula.
The men were all got up in suits.
Go upstairs and see what the kids are getting up to.
What did you get up to at the weekend?
Getaway.
Getaway.
The gunman made a getaway on foot.
Big Bear Lake is a popular weekend getaway.
Get-go.
Get-go.
From the get-go, I knew these tapes were special.
Get together.
Get together.
A family get-together.
Get up.
Get up.
I hardly recognized him in that get-up.
Get up and go.
Get up and go.
He was the only candidate who had any get up and go.
Geyser.
Geyser.
Ghastly.
Ghastly.
A ghastly little hotel. The whole thing was a ghastly mistake. The weather was ghastly.
A ghastly accident.
Are you all right? You look ghastly.
Ghetto.
Ghetto.
Unemployment in the ghetto.
The Warsaw Ghetto.
Ghetto blaster.
Ghetto blaster.
Ghettoize.
Ghettoize.
Ghost.
Ghost.
The ghost of old Tom Morris.
They say the young girl's ghost still haunts the house.
He looked as if he'd seen a ghost. The ghost of Stalinism still affects life in Russia today.
The ghost of a smile flitted across her sad features.
Unfortunately, my car's just given up the ghost.
They don't stand a ghost of a chance of winning.
Ghostly.
Ghostly.
A ghostly figure in a white dress.
Ghost story.
Ghost story.
Ghost town.
Ghost town.
Ghost train.
Ghost train.
Ghostwriter.
Ghostwriter.
Ghoul.
Ghoul.
GHQ.
GHQ.
GI.
GI.
Giant.
Giant.
A giant electronics company.
A giant tortoise.
The German chemicals giant, BASF. Miles Davis, truly one of the giants of jazz.
Giantess.
Giantess.
Giant killer.
Giant killer.
Giant panda.
Giant panda.
Gibber.
Gibber.
It was her, said Ruth, gibbering with fear.
A gibbering wreck.
Gibberish.
Gibberish.
You're talking gibberish.
Gibbet.
Gibbet.
Gibbon.
Gibbon.
Jibe.
Jibe.
Giblets.
Giblets.
Giddy.
Giddy.
Greg stared down from the 7th floor and began to feel giddy.
Sheila felt giddy with excitement.
Although she had been quite a successful model, she had never reached the giddy heights of the Paris fashion world.
Fiona's very pretty, but a bit giddy.
Gif.
GIF.
Gift.
Gift.
The earrings were a gift from my aunt.
A generous gift of £50.
The clock was given as a retirement gift when he left the police.
Expensive wedding gifts.
Enjoy a free gift with any purchase of $20 or more.
This excellent cookbook would make an ideal gift for anyone just going away to college. A gift for languages. He was a kind man with a gift for forming lasting friendships.
She has the rare gift of being able to laugh at herself.
He was said to have possessed the gift of prophecy.
The use of spiritual gifts.
The third goal was an absolute gift.
This opportunity was a gift from God.
Joe has always had the gift of the gab.
All appointments to military and administrative posts were in the gift of the king.
The local team was gifted victory as their opponents made a series of errors. The local team was gifted victory as their opponents made a series of errors. The painting was gifted to the nation by its owner.
Gift certificate.
Gift certificate.
Gifted.
Gifted.
She was an extremely gifted poet.
His musically gifted son.
Gifted with a superb voice, she became the opera's leading soprano.
Gift shop.
Gift shop.
Gift token.
Gift token.
Gift wrap.
Gift wrap.
Gift wrap.
Gift wrap.
Would you like that gift wrap, sir?
Gig.
Gig.
The band are doing a gig in Sheffield on November 12th.
That's a nice gig if you can get it.
Giga.
Giga.
Gigabyte.
Gigabyte.
Gigantic.
Gigantic.
A gigantic skyscraper.
Gigapixel.
Gigapixel.
Giggle.
Giggle.
If you can't stop giggling, you'll have to leave the room.
Catch me if you can, she said with a giggle.
Vicky suppressed a nervous giggle.
He looked so ridiculous I got the giggles.
Soon the whole group had the giggles.
Margaret was seized by a fit of the giggles.
Go on, it'll be a giggle.
Giggly.
Giggly.
A giggly schoolgirl.
Gigolo.
Gigolo.